We're European champs for a reason, man. Where it at, bro? Let me pull it out real quick. You guys see this? We are the defending champs for a reason, man. Look at that, man. That's my club. That's my club. Let me pull it out, Rand. Right here. That's my club. That's my club, bro. What a game. What a game between PSG and Chelsea. What a game. What a night, actually, of Champions League football. I think UEFA spent all the remontada powder on Sporting Lisbon because the other teams just never had a chance, really. We can start with Sporting Bodo. It was actually a very entertaining match. I want to say the commentator I had, I don't know if you guys had Paramount Plus in the US, but he was very, very mediocre. He was like a 3 out of 10. I tweeted he was a 3 out of 10. He just couldn't be bothered with what was going on in the game. It felt very underwhelming. But I'm a football enjoyer, so it wasn't that big a deal for me. And yeah, man, I gotta say, as I pull up this window right here, Sporting doing the impossible in Lisbon. I mean, things happen in Portugal, man. And it sucks for Bodo Glimt. Their Cinderella story ends here. They beat Inter. It sucks, bro. You beat Inter. You beat Man City. You beat Atletico de Madrid. You beat all these teams. And you beat Inter twice, by the way. Just to lose to Sporting Clube de Portugal. That's rough. That is rough, man. That is rough. But look, bro, it's hard to play in Lisbon, man. It really is. Ask PSG, bro. It's tough to play there. And I always thought Sporting had a chance, like predicting this tie early on. I thought, Bodo would win at home, but Sporting would end up qualifying. I didn't think it would be this extreme of a score, but at the end of the day, Sporting did go through, and I think that speaks to their quality. I mean, when's the last time a Portuguese team was in the quarterfinals of the UCL? It might have been 2023 with Benfica. And Sporting will have Arsenal, and I mean, the way Arsenal look, they don't look that enticing. They didn't look too great today, although they had some great goals, and we'll get to Arsenal later. So I mean, if Sporting can make it happen in Portugal, you never know. These Portuguese teams are tough. Although I don't really foresee a Sporting semi-final run, but they can be very proud of what they did today. Absolutely incredible. They kept going for it. They kept going for it. First with that Ignacio header in the 34th minute, and then Pote getting a cross in from Luis Suarez. It's pretty much a tap in, really. And then Suarez converting that penalty. Bad handball by the Bodo Glimt defender. And eventually they took it away in extra time. Araujo scores to make it 4-3 on aggregate. And at the very end, Nell just puts the cherry on top. And it sucks for Bodo Glimt, man, because they are building something really nice. They were really, they really had a resume to them, right? But, man, these are UCL nights, man. You got to be able to not choke 3-0 leads. It's as simple as that. Maybe you come with a different approach and it's like you sat back, right? If you look at the numbers here, so you let the pressure, build up on you, and that's already wrong, right? You don't want to do that. You're not Simeone, okay? Fight for the ball, fight for possession, try and play a normal game rather than playing not to lose. If you're playing to win, you usually get better results. Want to make a quick note? Don't mind the laundry in the back. Maybe you didn't, and now you're looking at it anyway right now. But I just felt like I should make a note there. But yeah, man, for Bodo Glimt, I just feel really bad because they had the opportunity to do something special. I think they had the offensive firepower to do something, and it sucks for them that it ended up the way it did. But Sporting, bang up job, man. You gotta tip your hat to them. They came to play, and Sporting have been, even like when Amarin left, right? You were thinking Sporting might fall off a little bit, but Sporting have been really good regardless. I think the club has done really well to build this identity and philosophy that can, survive manager changes. And that's a nice, reflection on Sporting and their board and what they're doing with their leadership. I mean, Inacio's been one of the highly touted young center backs for a while now. But he's still there, and they also obviously had believe Liao came through their academy, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, Nuno Mendes came through their academy, and Inacio. So you know they got a lot to like going for them. They could make something happen. I think it kind of speaks to the level of the Portuguese clubs because I think they kind of get underrated a lot. But Sporting are showing like, yeah, these it's tough because they only beat Bodo Glimt, right? The Norwegian team, you know, but Bodo Glimt is still a great team. Obviously, like I said, they beat all those big teams. And like it shows the strength of Portuguese teams. Like they're nothing to play with either, man. Those top 3, 4 Portuguese teams, they will do you in if you're not ready. Like so, big, big, big shout out to Sporting. And now they're moving on to the next round. We'll see how they fare up against Arsenal. Speaking of Arsenal, let's just get to Arsenal, man, because they scored some amazing goals today to knock off Leverkusen. And I don't think anyone ever doubted Arsenal were ever gonna lose this game. Like and the Emirates, Leverkusen, as much of a fight as they put up at the home leg, I just didn't think they had enough talent to compete with Arsenal, enough, finishing, just an individual, flair to touch Arsenal. And you saw that with his first goal by Eze. Gets the ball, takes a touch, it bounces in front of him, and he just mollies it top right corner. My gosh. And Declan Rice taking a few little touches and then finishes bottom right corner. I mean, that's stuff that, the top players do. And unfortunately for Leverkusen, there was just never a chance there, really. It's unfortunate for them, because I think they did enough in that home leg to actually come out with an advantage. And that penalty that Arsenal were gifted, really soft. But Arsenal doing the right thing, winning by multiple goals, so you can't even question it. If you took that penalty off, maybe if something would have changed, right? Like no, if you win by multiple goals, the aggregate score would have been 2-1. Still, Arsenal would have went through. So like, good on Arsenal for doing things that a top team should, but I'm still a little bit worried with Arsenal that they're not necessarily offensively potent, if, for lack of a better term. But they're just not scary when you watch them, right? They're not scary in offense, and that Eze goal was very good, and so is that Rice goal. But I think when you come up against better teams, I don't know if that's going to happen. It's tough because the way Arsenal play, you know, you might actually it might fare better against better teams. And by that I mean they'll have more space, right? They'll have more space in behind. It'll be more man to man. So if you're thinking about a Barcelona, for example, we'll see how Arsenal deal with that, but they might look scarier just because those teams are more braver. So, if Arsenal can win that defensive battle of not conceding, then there should be opportunities for them in the future. But to close up the chapter on this game, Arsenal handily, getting a real professional win here. And yeah, I mean, not much else to say. Oh, it seems like Eze went off with an injury. I did not see that. Obviously, I was focused on the two other games today, but yeah, I mean, I don't think Eze's been good, for him to score, but I think Arsenal can win without Eze. So hopefully that's not too bad. And he gets back real quick. Let's talk about the main two games today. Let's talk about Madrid and City and PSG and Chelsea. And let's start with Manchester City versus Real Madrid. This was so unfortunate for City, man. They came out guns blazing. I mean, you can see the momentum bar here. They were in it. Cherky was giving dishes to everybody. He was just passing them out, man. But nobody could convert. Nobody could hit the target, man. And then just the one Real Madrid counter. Vinny gets in. I think he misses it or he comes off the post. And then it might have been Brahim Diaz who crosses it back to him on the back post. And Vinny goes for that volley hit. And unfortunately, Bernardo Silva's on the last 9 and he's got his hands behind his back. But it's like a chicken wing. So he's kind of extending it a little bit, As Vinny goes for goal, he extends it and it hits his arm, doesn't hit his shoulder, unfortunately. So it's a red card. And yeah, that was that. That was basically, not only is a red card, it was also a penalty. And that pretty much was tie over, in my opinion, because that was like getting 2 goals at once. Now you're down to 10 men, but at the same time, you also have a penalty. And if Vinny scores the penalty, goes to the same side, goes to the right. And That's basically a 2 goal lead, even though City were only up 4-0 on aggregate, only 4-0. You're also down to 10 men if you're City. So like, what do you even do from that point? I think it was all over from there. Holland ends up scoring right before the end of the half. And it was a pretty kind of ugly goal. He got through a bunch of people on a cross and he hits it just right with the bottom of his foot. But yeah, I don't think City ever really believed. It's tough because with the English teams, I think they really believed in the remontada. They're like, man, they might feel like they were too good to go out. I think that's what it was for me. A lot of the English teams felt like they were too good to go out or something. Like as if, and I'm not saying don't believe in your team, but I just feel like, yeah, respect the opposition, bro. Like this is Madrid, this is PSG, right? Like relax, relax. It's nice for them to get some humble pie. But yeah, let's get back to City and Madrid because then at the end, Madrid had a few more counterattacks while City were still pressing and pressing for the goal, and they still couldn't get another goal afterwards. It sucked to see, man, because they were fighting for real, but yeah, they just couldn't get it in. Courtois was just too good, man, and at the end, Vinny he had scored an offside goal at first, but then Chouameni sends in a nice whipped ball. Vinny finishes it like with style. Like I love the aesthetic of that goal. That was very nice. And yeah, Madrid are walking into the quarterfinals. City are out. Now what this means for both teams is, well, if you're Madrid, it feels like you're hitting your peak at the right time. And coincidentally, that's without two of your biggest stars. That's just with Vinny. That might tell you something. Honestly, I'm not even gonna be like vague about it. Okay, like this Real Madrid team is better with Vinny, at least in the high elite competitions, right? Against your cities, against the big teams. They're probably better off with the way they've been going, right? All these midfielders, basically Vinny and 10 other guys, right? It should be Vinny and 10 other guys. Because the amount of danger he creates, it reminds me of Barcola, right? Like these are just danger men. They will create dangerous situations, and eventually your team will find a way to finish it off for them. But like, you just need Vinny up there, and you can have your Valverde, you can have Brahim, you can have Arda Güler, guys who will run and tackle, right? So that way you can compete with the possession heavy teams who are gonna make you chase the ball, like a Barca, like a City, like a Bayern, etc. Right? You can have defensive stability against the cities, right? Obviously, you have Courtois back there, but obviously Rudiger, Huijsen, they're going to feel more secure, right? Now you got Trent and Carvajal back, Carreras, Fran Garcia, Ferland Mendy. Like, things are looking good for Madrid right now, and I would not mess up this formula, man. I don't even think Mbappe should be playing anyway. I think this is a World Cup year. Rest your knee. I don't know why he's trying to get back on the team. Maybe he realizes that this team has potential to really make something shake with the way they're doing, just pure counterattacking. Like you can play as a provincial side because of your injuries, right? You have that excuse, and top sides don't always have that excuse. Especially at Madrid, you have to play a certain way, right? But if you have so many injuries, you can play as a provincial side, play as an inferior side, and say, all right, we're gonna sit back over the top, play. We're gonna focus on the counter a lot more often. We don't need the ball. We don't need to live, for the ball at our feet. And I think they got something here, man. Arbeloa's got something here. You really do. You really do. So I'd stick with it, and I'm gonna keep it a being like just don't play Mbappe, man. Keep Mbappe as a sub. I don't think Mbappe should be playing anyway. It's a World Cup year. Just rest your knee, bro. Like I don't know. It's his body, but I just don't see the need to risk it. Same with Jude, although I think Jude is a lot more, flexible and malleable into the system. Like you can take him out for Arda or someone else, or Brahim. But like I wouldn't put Mbappe in there because Jude's gonna run the hard yards. And I think and even Vinny would run the hard yards. And if you can have 10 outfield players who are all running hard, that's a tough team. It's gonna be a tough team. And then you can bring Mbappe in on tired legs. I'm sure he's willing to accept that. It's your team at the end of the day, if you're Arbeloa. So that's what I would do. That's really what I would do. But we'll see how that develops. They've got something here, man. Madrid can be very proud, and honestly, they can, roll like this, into the Barca and Atleti games. They got a chance to scam La Liga. They got a chance, man. They really do. All right, let's talk about what it means for City in the future now that they're knocked out. And they've got basically all domestic cups, right? FA Cup, Premier League, and Carabao Cup final, which is coming up, I think, Sunday, I believe, right? So that's going to be huge. But mainly for the Premier League, they're going to have more rest. We'll see. Obviously, Arsenal have a really deep squad, so I don't know if it'll affect them that much. But now it's like you got to go all guns blazing for the Premier League. You're 10 points behind right now, I think, or 9 points technically. I think they got a game in hand to bring it to 6 points. So we'll see how that goes. So even if you do beat Arsenal, you need them to drop points again. But anything can happen. You know, it sucks for City. I think this is a big blow for them, especially right before the Carabao Cup final. And it's tough for City because they really should, on paper, they should have rolled over this Madrid team. They should have rolled them over. It shouldn't have even been a contest, right? A lot of people, including myself, were predicting City, 2 or 3-0, not Madrid to win 2 or 3-0. This is, I don't know, this is very interesting, and like it'll be interesting to see how Pep Guardiola responds from this, because City, I don't know if they've ever been this low. Like obviously last year they had a down season, but they haven't looked this not even not fearless is not the word, but this unscary, right? Like this, like there's this lack of aura around Manchester City that's usually that hasn't we haven't seen something like that in a long time. So we're gonna see how they respond to this, but I think you could see this as a benefit, and say, okay, well, now we don't have to play these extra games. We can go for the Premier League. We're gonna qualify for the Champions League anyway, so we can go for the Premier League and try and make Arsenal, have to tire out through that Champions League. But I just don't see it. The City team doesn't move me. You know, it feels just 3 or 4 steps below what a City team is supposed to be. And you can put that down to how Pep lines up. I still don't know why he hasn't started Cherky more often like he did today. Look at the chances Ryan Cherky was creating. So that might be the key, but we'll see, man. But yeah, great for Madrid to get through to the knockouts, to the quarterfinals. And yeah, let's talk about PSG Chelsea, man. I'm itching because what a game. What a start to this game, man. I was incredibly nervous. I was incredibly fearful of a mistake, an individual mistake from Safonov or from Marquinhos or from, anybody. I think I tweeted João Neves 12-minute red card, like just something stupid, because I just wanted us, especially as PSG, right? PSG for so long, we had been the bottlers. We had been the guys who could win at home versus Chelsea 2-0 and then go to Stamford Bridge and lose 3-1 in 2014. And then the same guys who would win at home 4-0 versus Barca and then go to Barcelona in the Camp Nou and lose 6-1, even though we got robbed. But you get me. And then 2 years later, win at Old Trafford 2-0 and then lose at home to Manchester United 3-1. Ridiculous, right? And we get knocked out on away goals. I'm just reliving all of it, right? And obviously the big one, Real Madrid win 1-0 in Paris, go up 1-0 in the Bernabeu, 2-0 on aggregate in the 60th minute, and then by the 78th minute be down 2-3 on aggregate. That was what we were before. But now we're the team that wins versus Aston Villa at home and holds on away at Villa Park. Now we're the team that maybe loses to Liverpool at home, but goes to Anfield, keeps a clean sheet, and win on pens in a big high-stakes shootout versus the best team in England. That's who we are now, right? We're the type of team that goes to the Emirates, scores early, keeps a clean sheet, take them back to Paris, and then beat them again. And now we're the team that beat Chelsea by 3 at home and beat Chelsea by 3 away. That's what PSG is now, man. And I'm so proud of what Luis Enrique's done, man. I mean, that I haven't even counted the Demontada, right? In 2024, we lost to Barcelona at home 3-2, and then we go to Barcelona and we beat them 4-1. Or we go to Barcelona with the B team, with the C team, starting in Bai and Mayulu and in Jontu and guys like and academy guys, and beating Barcelona in their own stadium with a depleted squad. Like that's us now. That's what we do. This is our identity now. Okay? We're tough to beat no matter where we play, and it doesn't matter where we play. We're going to go for the win, and we're going to most likely win. But let me stay humble, man. We can talk about this game. I was saying, I was very fearful. I was very fearful about what could happen in this game, but Carvara scoring 6 minutes, scoring early was huge. Completely sucked the life out of that stadium. Oh my gosh, you could hear a pin drop outside of the PSG fans screaming, which is funny enough. PSG fans going into another stadium and dominating the stadium like we do always. Lovely to see that. And then Barcola scoring again at the 15th minute. We were very efficient today, and that's what I've been clamoring for this team for so long, to be clinical, to not have to take 20 shots to score one goal, but can we score one goal in 5 shots? Can we score 2 goals in 7 shots? Well, I think we scored 2 goals in like 2 shots today, so it was incredible. But yeah, man, scoring early was incredible for us. It was very, very advantageous, and really the tie was over from there. Chelsea, I don't know. When I look at the starting 11 they put out, they had Sarr, who they brought in from Strasbourg, who's a very good young defender, but even at Strasbourg, you could see he was very flawed, right? Chalobah, Hato, like this is not your main guys, and I know Reece James injured, so it's tough. But they brought on Tosin later, and maybe you could have started with him, just more experienced. But at the end of the day, I'm not the coach, so it is what it is. I'm not complaining. Obviously started Santos in midfield. It was never really, Chelsea was never really in it. They gave us a lot of pressure. Obviously, if they scored from one of those, maybe that's the tide turns. A lot of pressure on corners in particular. But yeah, it was very comfortable after those 2 goals. I was very serene. And once we got to halftime without conceding, I was good. I was good. Mayulu made it 3-0. That made it 8-2 on aggregate. Lovely to see. There's not too much to talk about because this game kind of started and closed within the first, few minutes of the half, the first 20 minutes or so. And what I loved was that we were able to kind of soak in a little bit of pressure, suffer a little bit, but on the counter, we were extremely clinical. And you're not gonna get those gifts like Sarr just gifting you a ball into goal like that, or the way Bradley Barcola absolutely smashed that top corners. With his finishing, we know it's not gonna be consistent all the time, so you gotta appreciate those. But I love what we did today, man. To just suffer a little bit, stay compact, and hit them right where it hurts because they're gonna leave that open for us. And yeah, man, loved Kvara's performance today. Loved the front three. Well, Ben Dembele was a little today, but I love the way he pressed. But he got a little lazy at the end there, as most of the team did. And obviously the game's over, so it's hard to be too critical. You're up 6 goals with 30 minutes to go. Like, it's very hard to turn that over. Impossible, damn near, with the talent we have. So I didn't like the way, guys got complacent. The subs weren't particularly impactful. I would have liked to see more from Gonzalo and from Lee Kang In. But at the end of the day, man, this is PSG, man. I love what we did today. We dog walked Chelsea today. Absolutely dog walked them. I don't want to hear none of this Club World Cup nonsense anymore, man. We absolutely shut that up. Shut that down. Lovely to see it, man. Safanov got a 9.3. Wow, because he made so many saves because we kept giving the ball away at the end of the half. It honestly amazed me how bad Chelsea subs were. I mean, Garnacho had 3 or 4 opportunities, and he didn't make it. None of them. Like, that was poor. Delap, poor. My goodness, man. The level of Chelsea is completely baffling to me, man. Because, realistically, Chelsea started their project before us, right, in 2022, 23. We started our project in 2023, 24. And you can bring up, different environments. Oh, it's harder to win the Premier League than League. Oh, of course, sure. But we're talking about the Champions League. The Champions League is even footing. And not only is it even footing, the Champions League for us was a lot harder than for any other team. 7 of our opponents in the league phase made the round of 16. And the one opponent that did not make the round of 16 was Athletic Bilbao. Like, that's a good team. So, with that being said, I don't see how this Chelsea project has failed this massively. And you look at the PSG project and you see how well we've done. I'd be so embarrassed if I was Chelsea fans. You should be. I'm not saying you should be us, but like you should be on a better level than to lose to us by 6 goals. I think for sure. I'm just trying to be objective here. Like, for how much Chelsea's poured into this, right? You broke the bank for Caicedo and Palmer and well, not for Palmer. I think they got Palmer for like 40, 50 million, but you broke the bank for Enzo Fernandez, right? And then you brought in all these guys, Neto, Sar, Esteval, and obviously he's injured, but like you brought in all these guys, right? You should be doing a lot better than 6 goals down to PSG. That being said, though, we are the reigning European champions. This is one of the best teams you'll see of this generation. I think every generation has its team, right? And the last generation, you could point to 2 teams, really, MSN, maybe even 3 teams, right? But you can point to MSN, you can point to 3-peat Madrid, you can point to maybe, Liverpool with Klopp and City when they had Sane and Aguero and Sterling. But really, MSN and Prime Madrid, the 3-peat Madrid, I think are going to really stand the test of time. And maybe that City Centurions team because of, the Prem and all that. But those are the teams that define, the last generation. I think when you look at this generation, from 2020 onward, you can talk about Flick's Bayern and you can talk about Flick's Barca. Obviously, Flick's Bayern won the sextuple, but because of the asterisk around COVID, maybe that's not always going to get its fair due, and it's unfortunate, but it's also valid criticism. But I think the team of this generation, and really the team of the future, the team that shows you how future football will be played, that teams will copy, that teams are copying right now, is PSG of Luis Enrique. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it, man. The football we play, how slick we play, it's incredible. Nobody puts 8 on Chelsea in 2 games, bro. That's ridiculous. I just want you to know. And, maybe you'll point to Arsenal, Set Piece FC and stuff, but I don't think people are going to gravitate to that as much as what we're offering at PSG. With that being said, though, absolutely lovely, lovely result. Look, I didn't like the way we basically took the level down like 50% in the second half. But at the end of the day, more goals don't make you go further in the competition, right? If we won by 11-2, it doesn't mean we're going to make the semifinals. It just means we're still going to the quarterfinals. So, whatever, wrap it up. The win was wrapped up. I can't complain. Absolutely, absolutely in awe, not even in awe. Absolutely fine with the result. Love the result. And yeah, it's just like we're looking at the knockouts. I don't know, man. Liverpool don't look great, but maybe I would prefer to have Galatasaray. I think that's not ridiculous to say that. I think I would prefer Galatasaray. We'll see what happens. I will be rooting for Galatasaray. And the thing with Galatasaray is, it's a tough place to play. Going to Turkey, tough, larger travel for us too. But, I look at their team and I think to myself, we can press that team. We can outwork that team. But at the same time, if Liverpool can't beat them, well, I guess, we wouldn't face Liverpool if they couldn't beat them. So I can't say that. But, you take whoever we'll get, man. Having Liverpool would make the thing stronger, the journey stronger, right? Say you beat Chelsea and then potentially beat Liverpool, and you're gonna meet either Madrid or Bayern in the semis, and if you can get past them, you can say you beat Madrid or Bayern. So let's say you got Chelsea, Liverpool, Bayern, for example, or Chelsea, Liverpool, Madrid to the final against the Barcelona and Arsenal. Because I'm thinking about winning this whole thing now, right? You should say you beat Barcelona or Arsenal in the final on top of all those teams. It'll be one of the best UCL wins ever, like journeys, like you know what I mean? Because what do you mean you beat, two or three top Premier League sides? You beat a top French side in Monaco too. I forgot to mention. And obviously Liverpool's not a top Premier League side this year, but by name. And on top of that, you beat, Arsenal or Barcelona. So it's like you beat either the entire Premier League or you beat Barcelona. On top of all those top Premier League sides. But yeah, that's enough yapping from me, man. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy Ollie Footy. Until next time, we out.